having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Welcome into Two Guys, One Pod Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm the hostess with the mostest. I am Chef Dewar Sanders, a.k.a. Chef 90, a.k.a. Justin Curry. To those of you who know me formally, and to those who don't, and those who know ball but want to know a little bit more ball, I'm here with a very special guest today. I've got Too Much Brian. Brian, how are we doing today?
Hey, we're making it through it. It's June. It's hard. We're looking for, ready for mini camps, ready for all that fun to start. But we've just got to fill the time. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're filling up some time, talking some ball, hoping we've got some sort of idea of what's happening here this season.
So here's the deal. If anybody's listening right now, like right now today, whenever this comes out, I mean, it may make it out, early next week or the week of, I guess that would be the 23rd. Might be close to the end of the 23rd. But what's gonna be relevant are the guys that we're gonna talk about today, because we're gonna talk about some breakouts, some early breakout candidates, some guys that are a little bit off the radar that we think have a chance to really smash their current ADPs. And so, Brian, like I said, we're taking stabs in the dark. There's not a lot of new news to talk about. We just finished up mandatory minicamp. We just finished up OTAs. We've got rookies getting buzz. We've got some guys, that are primed in the best. This is best shape of their life season, best shape of your life season. But you're a Colts fan, Brian, and this isn't on the show sheet, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts on the Colts quarterback room, because I feel like as a Titans fan, I just really want to hear how optimistic you are about everything that's going on with your quarterbacks.
Look, yeah, I bet you're sitting over there in a nice place right now. When you look at the AFC South having 2 first overall picks in the division and then a second overall pick, between Stroud, Lawrence, and Ward. And then you got Anthony Richardson, the run to the bunch, coming in the 4th overall pick. You'd think that'd be good enough. Look, it's tumultuous. It's been horrible for me. I was big in on him last year. Look, when he plays per game, he's great. But as far as the draft pick, it was horrible last year. Right now, I am full tilt to the point that I'm drafting quite a bit of Daniel Jones in best ball. I think he's great. If he is going to be, starting for the majority of the games, I think it's a great pick right now is where you're getting like ADP. Mid to late 20s, that's ridiculous. We've seen this fool run up and down this field. Like, he has plenty of rushing upside, plus plenty of weapons within the Colts. So hopefully it's a non-biased approach. Like, it's not a bad wide receiver room, Pittman had the back injury last year. Down seems to be just the unreal talent there. A.D. Mitchell, maybe he's got hands. If he does, he should be great. And then Alec Pierce, who would have thought that guy out of the bunch had as many touchdowns as he had. So I don't know. We're in a pickle. We got a brand new owner next year, probably a new GM, probably a new head coach, probably a new starting quarterback. Please don't overpay Daniel Jones if we keep him. I guess just that's my biggest fear overall is he does so well that we pay Daniel Jones.
So that's an interesting. Okay. So that's an interesting take. I'm with you. Okay, I took a bunch of Anthony Richardson last year because you look at the rushing upside. I mean, this is a guy who gave you a QB 1 week on like 15 snaps as a rookie.
Right.
Like the talent, the upside is nearly unlimited. You know, you look at him and you're like, cool, man. So that's just like, you know, like dark-skinned Josh Allen, I guess. Like that's what it's supposed to be.
He even
And
went to
then,
the coach,
yeah,
you know, to go figure out the shoulder issue.
yeah. Like he's doing all the things now, but it's just the and to your point, the weapons for the Colts are incredible. You got Josh Downs, big Josh Downs guy, huge Josh Downs guy. If I weren't talking about the two receivers that I have on the show sheet, Josh Downs would have been runner up. You got Michael Pittman, who's been a 1,000-yard receiver multiple times, and you know has 150 target season under his belt. You got Tyler Warren, who I thought was one of the most uniquely talented players in the draft. I feel like that doesn't really get enough run, but it's solely because he went to the Colts. And we just don't have any sort of clarity about the quarterback situation. If we thought Anthony Richardson was good to go, I don't think that there's any question that all of these guys would be bumped up just a little bit because of the fact that, you know, you've got the play caller, you've got the mobile quarterback, but it's just, I feel like we hit worst case scenario with Anthony Richardson this season. And I don't want to turn it into a poop on Anthony Richardson segment, but like we got the worst possible outcome that we could get. So when I say, could it be any worse? Like, I literally mean, I don't think it could be worse.
We could be looking at a complete rebuild on this team going into next year. And God, here we go again. I guess that's my biggest fear as a fan. As far as like fantasy though, I think we've got some winning pieces here. Like, because everybody is just so down on the Colts, ADP is suppressed out the wazoo. Like, being able to grab some Pittman, grab some Downs, it's not too shabby. And then Daniel Jones, like I said, if you're grabbing him in best ball, now's the best time. I don't think his ADP is ever going to be lower than it is now. Maybe a little bit if Anthony Richardson comes back and he just lights it up in the preseason. But overall, I think if you're going to dip into the Daniel Jones pool, it's going to be now, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's only bound to rise. I mean, we saw him kind of move up the board a little bit the minute that we found out that Anthony Richardson was going to be out until training camp. We saw him start to move up the board. There are some in the industry that believe that it's Daniel Jones' job to lose. So last question, do you think that it's Daniel Jones' job to lose at this point, or where are you leaning going into Colts training camp in 2025?
Unfortunately, I do think it's his job to lose because the GM is on the hot seat, because the head coach is on the hot seat. So much of that dictates these players' future. Like the kid's, 23? He
Right.
back-to-back years was the youngest starting quarterback Anthony Richardson was. So, like, my biggest fear is he's going to get cut after either, next season or get traded or whatever it is. And he goes and has a semi-successful career just because he wasn't old enough to be able to, to fit into that, and because of the pressures of like jobs between head coaches and GMs. So there's so many variables that play into these players' careers and their path that it goes into. And I just feel like, unfortunately, he's in a situation that can't really wait for him to grow and to blossom, if that has that possibility.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Is like we live in such a microwave, and this is the last thing we're gonna say about. This is the last thing I'll say. I'm not gonna talk about the Colts anymore. I promise, guys. If you're still here, we're gonna get into the point of today's episode. But I think the problem with a lot of these quarterbacks is the fact that we live in a microwave society. Everybody's a thermometer and not a thermostat. And so whenever things don't happen immediately, we immediately throw these young guys to the wolf or to the trash pile and say, yeah, we tried it. It didn't work. Let's move on and try it with somebody else. And I feel like that's how you get a revolving door. Now, Andrew Luck kind of left you in a lurch retiring. We all understand that was less than ideal. Yeah. Single tears rolling down both of our faces, because even though I'm a Titans fan, I have the utmost respect and admiration for Andrew Luck, because I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks that I've ever seen in terms of his ability to command everything during a football game and do so much with so little. Like, bro, those teams were so bad.
So bad. He
so
actually
bad.
ruined the teams because he outperformed what he should have. The team made it farther in the playoffs, giving us the worst pick. Granted, we had Grigson, so he was going to screw it up regardless. But he was at the detriment of the team because he outplayed the success of some of those teams that we had. They were so bad.
Like incredibly bad. But yeah, we don't have to spend too much time there. Just
Let's go Colts. Come on, let's get it.
Just a little shop talk. If you want to talk more Colts, feel free to hit Brian up on his timeline on Twitter or X. Brian, drop your hashtag, your timeline, whatever. What is it?
It's at too much underscore Brian. If you're looking at me on Twitter, at too much Brian. Everywhere else, I just cannot drop the hash or the underscore there on Twitter. Unfortunately,
that's my bad. I screwed this up when I called it a hashtag. I did some old man stuff right there. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
I just tried to do the same thing.
But we're gonna get into why we're here today. Some early breakout candidates. A guy at each position that we think is going to be a really hot commodity after the 2025 season. We're giving it to you here. Hey, maybe way too early.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here. And you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
If you will.
That's too much.
That's too much. Yeah, I know.
Too much.
It's too much. It's too much. It's too early. It's never too late to be right about a good player. So, Brian, if you don't mind, you can kick us off with your quarterback pick that's going to be a hot commodity after the 2025 season.
So I tried to dig a little bit. I tried not to jump too obvious with some of these, try to not to grab some names that we saw too much. But this quarterback, I feel like I see the name too much. It is all over the place. When you've got a killer, play caller and head coach like KOC up there in Minnesota, I mean, how can we not be hyped for JJ McCarthy? Tore the meniscus last year, so we got shredded of that season that could have been that rookie season. But Sam Darnold came in there and said, hey guys, watch this. A guy that sees nothing but ghosts, paranormal activities happen around me. I still have a great season. JJ McCarthy, all you got to do is plug right in there. Get that backpack on and go Ghostbuster season all over the place. KOC is a guy who likes to run that ball. They fortified the line this year. Grabbed a couple Colts players there. Look at me getting the Colts plugs. I'm sorry, folks. I try not to talk about my team too much. There's a bias there. I get it. But added a center, added a guard, fortified that line. Their tackle that tore his ACL, he's going to be back. He's going to be ready to roll. You've got elite weapons all over the place. They love to throw the ball, even though they brought in some Jordan Mason via trade. They've got Aaron Jones that also catches passes. I just statting this kid out. I had him in the top 8 as far as attempts. And when you've got that much, even though you're not a runner, you're going to produce some spike weeks. And at QB 20, that's streamability, folks. So if you're getting him as your second quarterback, that's just gravy right there once you figure out when you can play him.
Man, I want to hate on JJ McCarthy. I've gotten into a few Twitter spats because of the fact that people were just besmirching the good name of Cam Ward and saying that JJ McCarthy would be hands down the quarterback one. I can't withstand that type of nonsense when it hits my timeline. So, but to add to your point, I mean, he's got the play caller. We've seen literally every single quarterback that's ever been taken snaps and played games in this system produce. We've seen Justin Jefferson be basically bulletproof in this scheme. We've seen Jordan Addison have incredible touchdown luck. I love Jordan Addison. I love Justin Jefferson. I really love everything in this offense. I just have so many questions about what the MO of the team is going to be Now, the Jordan Mason signing, they traded for him and then they gave him 2 years, $15 million. So he has a role. And the scary part for me is, what if they skew a little bit more run heavy? I know you just paid Justin Jefferson the second richest contract ever for a wide receiver, and Jordan Addison's a first round pick. Also, as well, too, he may be suspended. He's going to court next week for a while. What if they just hear me out? What if they just decide to put the training wheels on just for a little bit, just to see, just for a second, just to see how it feels?
And I think that's the nice thing about the ADP price. At QB 20, most likely he's going to be your second QB picked. If you double dip and you grab, honestly, I'm liking CJ Stroud more and more, not necessarily as a season long pick, but you look at his first 3 weeks, he's got some pretty nice setup. So if you're taking a quarterback that late, it's a streaming guy anyway. So if you pick up CJ Stroud and then the next round or two, you pick up JJ McCarthy to follow up with it, you got a nice little 1-2 punch. And then it gives time for JJ McCarthy to kind of get in the rhythm, get to that game speed, figure it out. But all right, is this guy going to be in every week start with a decent floor, or am I going to have to watch just streaming him overall? But that's the beauty of that price. You're not paying too much.
No, you're not paying too much. See, I did it right that time. No, I was trying to incorporate the two, but then it was so it was not too much. It just didn't work. Hey, we're workshopping it. We're going to figure it out. I will take a quarterback from the 2024 class as well. I'm going to go a little bit later, and I'm going to go Michael Penix. Now, I call him Captain. We call him Captain Do-Rag around these parts. And I've had some aggressive visions about what I think. Like going back to his profile coming out, I was like, man, this is 99. This is 99 throw power version of Tua right here. And, I think sometimes he does have some mechanical yips and he'll miss on some easy throws, but he's got a freaking howitzer. Everybody, Kurt, anybody that's anybody on Twitter goes to this one throw that he made up the sideline against cover 2 where he throws it. There's a guy there running it out, and there's another guy running up the sideline, and it looks like he's throwing it to the guy that's running the out, but he's throwing it to the guy up the sideline, and it's like fitting a camel through a keyhole. So it's real aggressive. And I absolutely love it. You saw Drake London kind of ascend to that vaunted crazy volume wide receiver 1 status with 100. He finished with 39 targets in 3 games with Drake London. With Michael Penix at the helm, Drake London did. So I think this is going to work. I think this is a guy that nobody's really talking about because it is so sexy to talk about literally every other quarterback in the 2024 class. But I think this is a guy that's going to outperform his ADP because everything's in place for him to take. And we got to see what it looked like for him early on. So now he gets that experience, some game film to watch. Plus, he gets the whole offseason as the starter. Going back to it, he wasn't supposed to play at all this year. But Kirk Cousins just kept making dangerous, horrible. He either was making the wrong play or he was just not doing stuff. Like the offense just didn't work. And so he wasn't doing enough. Like some people do too much. Kirk Cousins wasn't doing enough. Not enough Kirk Cousins. So now it's Michael Penix time.
I was going to say, outside of those 2 games where he played Tampa Bay and he absolutely lit it up. Yeah. He was god-awful last year, which was such a disappointment. Because I had so much Drake London, I was like, oh, I've got to tie Kirk Cousins to him. I got to get some of that action.
Yep.
No, that wasn't the stuff. That was not the stuff.
That was
Michael.
not the stuff.
So I'm still in on Drake London this year. I'm going back to the well. I don't mind the ADP price. I think that's about where he's going to finish. I think he has the potential to give us a top 5, potentially top 3 finish. But Michael Penix, we saw a little of that Anthony Richardson sprinkle in some of those games. Like completion percentage wasn't pretty. The volume was outrageous, and that's why I think London is so easy to grasp a hold. But Michael Penix, it was the first 3 games, small sample size. I guess you're holding tight with that. He can keep that rolling.
Yeah. So the thought process behind it is he's the type of guy that has to have lots and lots of reps and rapport with his guys in order to be to get on that same page. With Drake, it's easy because he's 6'4", he's 215. You can throw it. You throw it within the zip code that he's in, and he's gonna return. He's gonna give you something. And so he figured out the important part, which is, hey, target my best player, target him often. And then I think that they're going to build in a pretty safe floor. I mean, in those games where Michael Penix was throwing, I think he had 35 attempts and 38 attempts 2 of those 3 weeks. I can't remember the last one. I mean, I know he finished outside the top 20 the first 2 weeks and then finished his quarterback 7 against Carolina, I believe it was. And so for me, I think that they're going to build in a safe floor with Bijan. We know Bijan's my RB1 in all formats for this year. And I think they're going to build in a safe floor, 18 to 20 carries, 5 to 6 targets, potentially, between 3 and 5 targets, I'm cool with, because that comes out to a really nice number that I'm good with for a running back. Yeah. So, he's got the easy button there. He's got Drake London as, the get out of jail free card. And you got Mooney as kind of the X factor. So, yeah, I really like the way that it's structured. And then if Kyle Pitts finds the Monstars that took his powers, we might have a greatest show on turf situation brewing, brother.
If only. I'm still holding hope. Like Kyle Pitts, man. He's still young. Like it's the same thing we saw with so many of these other guys. David Njoku didn't turn out till he got that second contract. Evan Ingram, outside of the rookie year, we didn't really see it till that second contract. So holding out hope. It's the weird thing. So I have Michael Penix higher than his ADP at QB 27, but I think I've got him like at 23.
Yeah.
I have Mooney as a fringe wide receiver 3. I've got Bijan in my top 2. I have Drake London in my top 10. So explain to me why the hell can I not get Michael Penix higher when I have all of these ancillary pieces high? So yeah, I definitely need to go back there and check something out.
See, that's the thing is like there's like a little like as guys who are serious about this, like analysts, if you will. There's a cognitive dissonance between like us liking all the weapons in an offense. Like I just said, I love Jordan Addison. I love Aaron Jones. I love Jordan Mason, but I'm still kind of iffy on JJ McCarthy. Same thing with you and Michael Penix. So it's like, there's a disconnect. We love the weapons. We don't love the trigger man. That works in fantasy, but it usually doesn't work. So you're putting yourself in terms of probability behind the 8 ball when we're talking about like, hey, we would like these things to correlate. Like, yeah. Then so yeah,
I'll say too, I think between my QB, I think it's like QB 13 to QB 23, it's a matter of 20 points between those like 10 positions. So like when it really comes down to it, you can interchange a lot of those guys. And so like I feel like tier basing is the best way to look at that, because once you get in that big chunk, they're all in the same freaking tier.
Yeah, that's a great point too, is like making sure that you're taking the time to put these guys into tiers so that you don't get stuck if you're on the clock, or you can just be a big boy and do auction drafts like a big boy.
Man, I did my first auction draft this past year. So much fun, but like anxiety ridden for me. I like just trying to grasp the whole process of like, I could literally have any player I want. Where do I go? What do I do? It's thrilling, folks. If you ever do an auction, I definitely highly, go for it.
Yeah, it is one of the most exhilarating things doing it live. So my longest running home league that I talk about quite a bit in, on this show is an auction. It's a keeper auction. And so you've got guys that are playing it like we don't do anything special. It's just like, hey, half the keeper cost. We don't have to talk about that right now. But anyway, I talk about auction quite a bit because I think it's a really, really undervalued and underrated way to have a lot of fun and add some strategy to your fantasy drafts outside of just having your guys and paying attention to ADP. But
100%.
Let's get on to the running back position. You've got a guy here that balled out. Well, excuse me. I won't say balled out. I'll say that he did a complete 180 from what his rookie year was. And we both know this guy pretty well because we get to see him twice a year. So tell us about your running back here.
Look, as I said, I tried to skew away from some of the same names I feel like I say over and over on my show because, folks, if I said Rashee Rice again at the wide receiver position, I feel like somebody's going to throw something at me because, good Lord, it's like I'm getting paid to say it on my show. It's ridiculous how often we're talking about him. But, yeah, my running back, I'm going out there a little bit. I'm looking at just some of these ambiguous backfields when you're looking at some of these running back rooms and you're like, who the hell is it going to be? It could be him. It could be him. And it could be him. So, like, where are we going to throw the dart? End of the day, I like throwing the dart at the end where it's a little cheaper, where I can, more likely I can drop the piece if I really need to. But going to Jacksonville here, we've got Trevor Etienne, where, like, there's speculation and rumors that is he even with the Jacksonville Jaguars at the end of the season? Could he be traded at some point? Being there in the final year of his contract. Tank Bigsby, like you alluded to, very meh. First rookie season, you didn't like it, but second year, that's not too shabby. They went in there and spent a very, very early 4th-round pick on Bashal Tutin, which, good Lord, folks, if you haven't watched his highlights, he's a fast fella coming out of Virginia Tech. And then with LaQuint Allen, I didn't mind his tape as far as one of those like dart throws, those 7th-round undrafted fellas. So he's not really going to make much of a splash here. But when you're looking at those first 3 guys, Tank Bigsby going at RB 44. If anything, I feel like it's going to be Etienne and Tutin kind of really battling for that position. Bigsby's going to be in there. He's the bruiser. He's the touchdown guy. So in PPR leagues, maybe I'm not quite leaning that direction as much, but half PPR, getting him that late, if you're going 0 RB, he seems like a smash play for me.
Yeah, I love that, man. So he was 4.56 yards a carry last year, 7 rushing touchdowns. Nearly 5% of his yards came on explosive runs. I think that this. He handled 50% of the attempts inside the 5, and I think that the one thing that we all have hope in is that Liam Cohen's gonna restore some balance to this offense and resurrect a lot of underperforming fantasy assets. Those being Trevor Lawrence, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, and then making something out of the rookie Bashal Tutin. I've been placing bets. Now, you made the correct process pick, in my opinion. So when we're talking about ambiguity, you want to take the cheapest option. That's an important point that you touched on that I wanted to hammer again. And you're taking a non-zero bet here. Like, he has a chance to just win this job and then be the primary ball carrier, even though we've heard Liam Cohen kind of say Travis is the lead dog right now.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit ActiveDay.com to apply.
One, he hasn't stayed the most healthy. He dealt with a groin injury or sports hernia or whatever it was that made him look like the Monstars had stolen his power after the RB3 overall season. So Tank Bigsby coming in, 168 carries, 766 yards, 4.56 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns, on those 156 carries or 168 carries. And again, a 5% explosive run percentage. So those are all per fantasy points data, but I think that he's a good talent. I liked him coming out of Auburn. I'm a little bit biased towards Auburn because I played for Coach Freeze back in the day, and my wife graduated from there. So I love to see an Auburn boy doing well. I think this is a good pick. I do. I agree. You went off the beaten path with your pick a little bit. And if you went off the beaten path, I'm all the way in the bushes, like hiding with binoculars, like, hey, maybe this is the thing, maybe. Like,
yeah, definitely not a sexy pick. Definitely not a pick. Folks, please do not reach for this player. Please do not guarantee much from it. But what we're doing is when you're in those late rounds, you're looking just to accumulate value. And I think at RB44, it's just kind of criminal. We saw just last year Liam Cohen have 2 running backs in the top 30. it's no reason to think that he won't have something similar to that this year. And like I said, I feel like Bigsby's just the piece that will be automatically thrown into this, and then it's kind of Etienne and Tootin that'll be battling throughout most of the season for who holds that other spot.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, he could be the big back, the hammer. He does represent himself as probably the goal line back. He handled 50% of the inside the 5 carries last year, so I like that call. Now, like I said, you went deep for your pick, and I decided to go looking for the ice wall in Antarctica for mine. So
yeah, you hit the core and had to go past that. Goodness, look at that. That is a pick right there, folks. Listen in. Let's dive in. What you got?
Let's dial it in here. So I was gonna go kind of mainstream. Like I had typed in Kenneth Walker, and I was like, man, that doesn't feel right, especially when my guy comes in with a tank Bigsby. It's like, what are we doing here? So I went just sifting through the trash to see if I could find a lottery ticket that I could make a bet on. So I went with the Commanders rookie running back. I went with Jakobi Meyers, a 7th rounder, had eligibility issues and didn't play in 2024 hardly at all. 2023, I mean, the tape was really impressive. He adds a completely different dynamic to the backfield. I don't think Austin Eckler is cooked, but I don't trust him to stay healthy. He missed 4 games with a concussion last year. He dealt with the high ankle sprain the year before that, which is why he ended up in Washington and not still with the Commanders, other than the fact he said he didn't want to be a bell cow. But that's a different story for a different day. We're talking about right now, we're talking about an opportunity in the backfield that's always been, surprisingly for Cliff Kingsbury, very run heavy. Like I was
dude is so predictable with that.
Yeah. I was so keyed up about Brian Robinson, because of the way that Cliff Kingsbury used James Conner, that I was fooled, and I will not be fooled again. The fool me can't get fooled again. I personally think that this backfield is way more wide open than people are giving it credit for. Brian Robinson is on the last year of his contract. Austin Eckler's on the last year of his contract, and he adds a completely different dynamic. He can do what Austin Eckler does in the pass game. It depends on whether or not he picks up the protections, but that might not be a Cliff Kingsbury thing. They might just kind of send 5 out into the pattern. So I'm hoping, I want to do some more film work on this, but this is a dark horse play for me because I've seen him. He's explosive. He adds a different dynamic. You've seen some of the reports from OTAs, it's been pretty consistent. He's broken off long runs and been explosive. So just something I want to keep my eye on, because we could have an Alfred Morris situation brewing here, and I wanted to be one of the first ones to say it when it does.
Oh man, I love those deep pulls, the old running back, man, the ones that save those seasons that nobody's talking about. And this, hey, when you say around 20 pick, I absolutely love that. I'm playing best ball all summer long. You're in those drafts that have 20 rounds. This is the kind of guy to shoot for, especially when you have those Washington stacks. I've got a pretty good share of Austin Eckler this year, but like you kind of alluded to, this is the perfect cleanup if you don't get Austin Eckler or if you want the guy that's going to fill right in for him. RB 89, round 20, that's juicy right there. I love the deep pull.
Listen, man. Like I said, I saw you go take Bigsby. And I'm like, I have to go deeper.
I didn't mean to go as deep as I did, but I was like, you know what? I'm not pulling some RB 12, RB 16. Let's give something a little bit more talk, a little bit more speak. It's not the same thing we've been regurgitating for the last 3 freaking weeks.
Yeah, no, that was part of the thing. And now I will say, with a couple of my picks, I've been talking about it, and I'm gonna keep talking about it until people. Here's the thing: they're either gonna come back and thank me, or I'm gonna end up on fantasy receipts because I've been real loud and real vocal about some of my guys. But why don't you give us your wide receiver here?
Again, folks, we are going team unsexy, but unsexy means undrafted because they fall, they drop. And this guy has fallen to wide receiver 43 if you're looking at Fantasy Pros ADP right now. This is a guy, he is the number one, like undisputed number one wide receiver on his team. Now, I didn't say number one target because there's a guy in Brock Bowers on his team that clearly is the best talent. But you've got Jakobi freaking Meyers going at wide receiver 43. A guy who, like, I mean, we're talking breakouts. Did he break out last year? He might have because he finished as a top 24 wide receiver. But you're now upgrading this fool with now the second most accurate quarterback over the last several years in Geno Smith. We're getting rid of Aiden O'Connell. We're getting rid of all the other garbage mess we've been dealing with the last... Like, how the Patriots just let this dude walk for the cheap money? Like, they've been screaming for wide receivers for years, and they let this guy walk just a few years ago, head on down there to Vegas. And honestly, there is no reason that he cannot finish outside of injury. Him finishing higher or like worse than wide receiver 36 just seems ridiculous. So right there alone, you've got an 8 wide receiver ADP jump. Seeing him in the top 20, that's where I've got him projected right now.
I mean, it's a really safe bet. I mean, we're talking about Geno, who's one of the most professional quarterbacks in the league. You have Chip Kelly, who hyper targets his alpha wide receiver. Depending on, you know, what you like, obviously Brock Bowers is going to get his, but that's in a totally different bucket than where Jakobi Meyers is going to operate. We saw Jakobi Meyers go over 1,000 yards last year with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew playing quarterback. So if you were placing bets last year on whether or not a guy like George Pickens would return value, and then you were just, you know, waiting, you know, later you got in your draft and you were like, man, Jakobi Meyers is on the board. No, I don't want any parts of that. You lost. I mean, he's outperformed George Pickens. He outperformed George Pickens. I don't know if he's going to do it now with George Pickens on a, you know, what we pretend to be an elite offense, but this is an extreme value play. He's always going to be undervalued and he's always going to return. So there's too much value. See what I did there?
There we go.
With Jakobi Meyers here. I double dipped. Okay. I double dipped here with the wide receivers because there's like, I have two favorites, and with
sitting
one
on the fence. I see you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll sit if I'm on the fence and they're playing highlights of these two guys, I'll sit on that fence all day and watch those highlights because these guys are going to break out in 2025. My first is, you know, a guy that you're starting to hear more about, Jameson Williams, one of my favorite guys. You know, one of my favorite dynasty buys right now. Because I feel like he broke out and I feel like the Lions are all in. If you listen to this show for any period of time, there was a drastic shift in how Dan Campbell talked about Jameson Williams. And it was prior to the Chargers game in 2023. Jameson Williams this is not a play that he made, but he made the play for somebody else. And ever since then, Dan Campbell has talked about Jameson Williams in a completely different light. And so Jameson Williams for me represents a ton of value. He's currently going off the board in best ball, wide receiver 29, 4th round. And I think that there's an opportunity to buy into an elite offense with a guy with a Tyreek Hill-esque skill set. All he does is score long touchdowns, man. Tied with 2 other players for the most 50-yard catches in the league and was 3rd in 40-yard catches in 2024. And now we're just now getting him. So he gave you 14 points a game. And he was 38th in routes run at the position. Now, like, I don't know if that interests you at all, but like he didn't run 500 routes. He ran less routes than Tyreek Hill. And he gave you more fantasy points per game than Tyreek Hill. And it wasn't fluky stuff. They're using him on deep downfield throws. You saw the 82-yard touchdown against the Bears, I believe it was, where Jared Goff just airs it out. Like that's what he can do. But he can also catch the ball at the line of scrimmage or take a reverse and score from 70 yards away. Like he's a threat to score every time he touches the ball. And he's in one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. Now they did lose Frank Ragnow. I am a little bit concerned about that, but I think that affects David Montgomery more than it would Jameson Williams. So I'm a firm buy on Jameson Williams. My other guy, Cedric Tillman. Now Cedric Tillman goes off the board way later.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where where prohibited by law. 21 plus terms and conditions apply.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Wide receiver 71, pick 1309 on underdog. Cedric Tillman through that little mini breakout. Once Amari Cooper was traded, he was the wide receiver 1 from week 7 to 9, and then you extended out a little bit through week 12, like up to week 12 when he got the concussion. He got blasted in the upside down. He wasn't with us anymore. Like, the season just ended, but he was basically 9 targets a game. He led in first read target share, 25.7% first read target share. Like that was, he led once he got the opportunity to be on a football field full time and play. He was awesome. And so I'm in on that because it's so cheap, and he's shown you that he has the makings of an alpha X wide receiver. And I think that's something that we're completely undervaluing. So I would love to hear your thoughts on my wide receivers here.
It's not a bad brunch here. So I am actually I've been pretty harsh on the Lions this year, as far as maybe not necessarily Gibbs, just because, how can you not be in on Gibbs? But definitely Goff and his price. Amon-Ra, dude, all the respect in the world. I don't want you to think I'm knocking you. I think you have all the talent in the world. But as a taller person in this world, I got a bias. And I am man enough to say that I can see that. And I just like my wide receiver. I like him a little bigger. I like him a little taller. I like him to be a baller. Yes, he is one, but I don't like Amon-Ra as my wide receiver 1. I have lost that battle. I am okay to say that, but just for some reason that's just not where I sit. And I think there's gonna be a step back between the center loss, both the OC, the DC, the schedule this year. There's a lot of things that I'm fading a lot of these players. But as far as especially half PPR, Jameson Williams, I like this. You're spinning out wide receiver 3, and that's what you want. I want a volatile wide receiver in my wide receiver 3, because I usually have a stud at wide receiver 1. My wide receiver 2 is pretty consistent, and I want my 3 to be able to give me those boom weeks, those weeks that can really push me over the edge and win. So I love that. And Cedric Tillman's that, but he's that riding on your bench, because you can wait till you figure out who the hell the quarterback's going to be and when that consistency is going to come. I guess question for you then, as far as buying and going after this value, is Superflex Dynasty. I guess how much? What are you spending for these 2 players?
So I'm usually around. So in the FF Dynasty ADP, Jameson Williams is 705. So I'll usually go around early. I'm in a startup right now with a couple buddies, and I was able to get him in the 7th, and I was ecstatic about that. But he's going off the board quite a bit, and some of the startups I've done, he's not making it out of the 6th round. So I'm comfortable paying that 6-7 price. I'll usually be the one that takes him in the 6th, or if I can get him there, if somebody doesn't beat me to it. I've started, I'm in some leagues with people who listen to the stuff that I put out now. So they're
yeah,
I know you like that Jameson Williams. Why don't you go ahead and give me a first and something else for him? And it's man, I would rather just kick you in the face with a steel toe boot. But yeah, I'm paying up. I'm paying up for Jameson Williams. I offered a guy first straight up, 26 first straight up, and he said no. So maybe that guy loves Jameson Williams more than I do. But, Cedric Tillman, you can get him as a throw in a trade. I wouldn't go offer directly a 3rd, but I would behoove anyone to try to include him as a tier down option if you're, in a throw in trade, if you're tearing down at a position. Just ask for Cedric Tillman. A lot of people just kind of have him, and they remember the week 7 and 9 were really good, but also they remember that 40-year-old Joe Flacco is playing quarterback. And, if it's not him, it's going to be Kenny Smallhands. If it's not him, it's going to be potentially Dylan Gabriel. If it's not him, then it might be Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, the speedster.
The speedster, and not because he got his dad's wheels. there's enough uncertainty with the situation, and I'm certain enough about what type of talent he is that we could get that quarterback thing figured out, and him and Judy's ADPs will be criminal.
100%. Cedric Tillman, it's one of those, like, he feels like he's valued more towards a second round pick, but I don't want to pay more than a third for him. So a throw into a trade is the best way to kind of get more of that type of value. But he's, like I said, if you can get him as your wide receiver, 4 or 5-ish on your team, he's going to be a great pop in, especially in your dynasty.
100%. So why don't you give us your tight end here?
So I like we got a nice little connection here between our tight ends. I guess technically they haven't played for the same quarterbacks here, but it's a little Green Bay pulling for both of these fellas. As far as Pat Freiermuth is going to be my guy, going at tight end 17. He's got himself a new quarterback. This guy is no longer donning the green and gold. He is donning the black and gold, going out there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And look, we've seen this before. We've seen Aaron Rodgers have just his one favorite wide receiver, that one guy that he really hyper-targets, whether it's Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson. Do you remember the James Jones years? Oh, the sweatshirt year. Oh, man. I still get excited. A championship one on the back of that guy. But we've seen him dabble in some tight ends, maybe not necessarily for yardage and huge catches, but a lot of the touchdowns. So I'm going for a guy that I think for Pat Freiermuth, we've seen the talent. We've seen it come up before. But Aaron Rodgers, whether it be Jermichael Finley, Jared Cook, Richard Rodgers, Martellus Bennett, Jimmy Graham, Arceus Ludus, or Robert Tonyan, like, he's got a connection, and he's willing to throw the touchdown to this guy. So if it's DK Metcalf, if he's locked up, I like Pat Freiermuth to come away with a decent 7-8-ish touchdown season. And in the streaming tight end streets, that's exactly what you want. You don't really look for, you're not going to find a guy that's going to average 5 catches a game. But a guy that can average near a touchdown a game, that's some gold in my book. Some black and gold.
Yeah, no, I think I said this now a few times on a few different platforms. Like, him and DK Metcalf are about to catch a lot of touchdowns. A lot. Now, there's going to be a random player in there, too, that probably scores way more touchdowns than you think. Calvin Austin.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Keenan
Allen.
Listen, man, if they sign Keenan Allen, I'm moving Aaron Rodgers so aggressively up my draft boards. It's going to be ridiculous.
Would he not be a perfect fit for that team, though? Because he doesn't have to be 26-year-old Keenan Allen. He's just got to go out there and go find the soft spot.
Bro, it's perfect. It makes too much sense. See what I did there? I didn't even do that on purpose. I promise I didn't do that on purpose. But yeah, I love Pat Freiermuth. I think the tight end 17 ADP is ridiculous because of the fact that he got Robert Tonyan 11 touchdowns in a season, man. Like, he got James Jones to 15 touchdowns and hoodie James Jones to 15 touchdowns in the season, man. Like, the talent there is undeniable. Still, even if he's taking a step back from being what I think is the most talented thrower of football I've ever seen personally.
Yeah.
Even if he's taking a step back there, he's still better than all but maybe 9 quarterbacks in the entire NFL at throwing the football. So I think that Pat Freiermuth is an incredible value where he's going off the board. And I'll close this out with my tight end, Tucker Kraft. So limited opportunity, limited volume. I think that what Matt LaFleur said at the end of the season is what I'm kind of hanging my hat on here for a breakout. He said, he was asked by a reporter very directly, hey, do you think Tucker Kraft could have a role that grows into a Travis Kelce or George Kittle-esque role in your offense? And his answer was yes. I think that we need to create more opportunities for him. He's a force with the ball in his hands. I'm paraphrasing, but basically what he said was, yeah, we've got to create more opportunities for this guy because he's earned it.
Yeah.
I mean, per fantasy points data, 65 targets in 2024, 50 catches, 770 yards, 7 touchdowns. He was 21st in targets amongst tight ends, but he finished 7th in yards. He scored 7 touchdowns. He went over 700 yards. His yards per target was second only at the position to George Kittle, and his yards after catch per reception led the entire NFL by over 3 yards, and the second place was George Kittle. So you hear me bringing up George Kittle a lot because that's what I see when I watch Tucker Kraft play. Like he's a dynamic threat after the catch. But the beautiful thing about it, in my opinion, is that one, you don't have to pay a super high price. You can go get him in the 12th round of drafts. Like if you punt tight end, even a tight end premium league, like even a tight end premium startup dynasty league, this guy's still going like 8th, 9th, 10th round. So you could punt tight end, build a strong lineup, and then take a guy who could take a step forward. He's only 24 years old. I think that this guy is going to be one of the biggest names at the tight end position. Like it's a big two right now between Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. We could see him ascend into that. I mean, Kittle obviously is incredible. He led it in points per game, but I think Tucker Kraft could enter into that realm. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about Tucker Kraft in 2025.
Hey, I can't push back on this one at all. I've got him in my top 7 so far this year. Look, folks, it's not a sexy name at all. A guy named Tucker. Really? You're excited about him on your fantasy team and not sitting there being inappropriate at a spa there, Mr. Kicker? You know, we're talking Tucker Kraft here, Mr. Box Mac and Cheese. Yeah, it's not pretty, but the moment Christian Watson, we got that confirmed that he tore his ACL last fall, I already told myself, hey, this is going to be one of my favorite tight ends for 2025, just based on that alone. Jaden Reed is the best talent on that wide receiver core, and you got a bunch of B plus wide receivers. You know, Dontavian Wicks, like, granted, he can't catch anything, right, but you look at his separation scores, it's elite when you look at those things. And then you got the other guy, Romeo Doubs. He's a great slot guy. He plays well in that position, but you knew there was going to need to be somebody that was the touchdown guy, the guy that went in there and brought some thunder, brought a little bit of the hammer, and this guy's going to be Thor. Think of him as Thor Kraft, not Tucker Kraft, all right? This guy's going to go in there, and he's going to get us a double-digit touchdown season, and I think on the back of that, this guy finishes very well. I love the call.
Sweet. Yes, I'm glad that we got to close it out on. I mean, we pretty much agreed on everybody.
Unfortunately, I was hoping to push back a little bit more,
which doesn't always happen and make for the best podcast. But Brian, before we get out of here, tell everybody where they can find you. I didn't do a great job of introducing you and telling them what all you're working on. So please, by all means, forgive me for that and give me the opportunity to allow you to do that right now.
Folks, if you are looking for just a little bit more of me, it's too much fantasy football, whether it be on the Fantasy Football Advice Network or the YouTube page we've got there, where we've got a little bit of a little uniquer stuff on that channel. But yeah, the podcast, Too Much Fantasy Football. If you're looking for just a little bit of a break from all this football nonsense before we get into the season, Too Much Movie Night. If you're so inclined, we talk some movies, we do some drafts. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, I got to tap into Too Much Movies because I got 3 more weeks with no kids, so I'm going to be watching a ton of movies. As always, I'm the legendary ball knower. If you don't know, I am Chev Doer Sanders, aka Chev90, aka your favorite podcaster. This has been another episode of Two Guys, One Pod. We will be back with you soon. Always remember, there's ball watchers and there's ball knowers. Assign yourselves accordingly. Have a good night, everybody.
Having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.